Hello, sacred beings, and welcome to part 3 of the Power of Kabbalah. If you're just tuning in, please go watch part 1 and 2, which will be linked in the description. I'll post 1 or 2 up here for you guys. So we're just going to dive right in about the true meaning of who we are and secrets of the universe. So let's go. Okay, so where we left off was talking about the opponent of the true opponent of the game of life. Who is our opponent? And it's the ego. So let's pick up where we left off. The opponent is real, and he exists as the human ego. But the opponent does such a good job of hiding himself that we have forgotten and lost touch with our true selves, our souls. The opponent has fooled us into believing that we are victims of outside forces and other people's actions. He has convinced us that our enemy is some other person instead of our own reactive nature. He inflates our egos so we think we're brilliant and in control of our lives. All the doubts we have about his existence are his doing. He blinds us to our own godly nature so that we don't even recognize our purpose in life. Desire to receive attracts and draws energy, material and spiritual possessions for ourselves or for sharing with others as well. When the opponent came into being, desire to receive was for the self alone. Desire to receive for the self alone, a selfish gene, comes from the opponent. Desire for the same possession, go out and acquire it, fine, no problem. When we attain a material possession, we resent our neighbor for buying the same item. No one else should have this but ourselves. Kabbalah teaches us that our thoughts do not originate from the physical matter of the brain. Instead, the brain is like an antenna, a receiving station that picks up on a signal and then rebroadcasts it into the conscious mind. Light and the opponent send signals to our brains. Learn how to distinguish which thoughts come from the light and which thoughts originate from the opponent. We could reclaim control of our lives. Any thought that is loud and crystal clear and urges us to react to a situation is the opponent. If a thought is barely audible, a faint voice emanating from the recesses of our minds, it is the song of the light. Or if what you have is a sudden flash of intuition or an impromptu inspiration, the broadcast is originating from that 99% realm. The opponent's thoughts manifest as our rational, logical minds and egos. The light's signal manifests as intuition, dreams, and a faint, quiet voice in the back of our minds. The secret to taking control of our lives is to cut off the opponent's signal. When we stop our reactive impulses, we literally turn off his broadcasts. When we succeed at this, even for a moment, the light signal is free to fill that space. The opponent's sole objective is to arouse our desire to receive for the self alone so that we disconnect from the light and the 99%. His major tactic is to simply push our reactive button all day long. We are consumed with negative thoughts, selfish impulses, and egocentric urges to fulfill our desire to receive for the self alone. We lose touch with our essence, our souls. By refusing to act, we are pulling an emergency lever that overrides the reactive button that the opponent pushed, immediately cuts off the reactive emotions flooding our bodies. No longer reactive, we are proactive. Kabbalist Rabbi said that people usually perceive events to be exactly the opposite of their true state of reality because of their limited view on reality. The more advanced a creature is at the beginning of growth, the less developed it would be at the end. The less advanced a creature is at the beginning of its development, the more advanced and evolved it will be by the end. Same principle is at work in all areas of life. Opportunities that look promising at the outset turn out to be disasters, while seemingly hopeless situations unexpectedly prove to be blessings in disguise. We misjudge situations because we lack the ability to perceive both the short-term effects and long-term outcome. We react to the moment. Final outcome, any life process will be the exact opposite of the first impression. Our opponent tries to reverse this spiritual truth by inciting reactions to the present moment. Time is an illusion. Just two things highlighted. Time is an illusion, and time bestows upon us the greatest gift ever given. Free will. Our unique mission in the world is to elevate to a higher spiritual level. Free will only occurs if the concept of time is injected into our existence. Because of time's existence, we mistakenly believe that goodness goes unrewarded, while wickedness goes unpunished. But it's merely a delay tactic. Delayed responses permit freedom of choice because good and evil behavior. All unkind actions launch a cause and effect chain reaction. Our opponent, negative payback is delayed. The person now believes he has got away with the hurtful action. This distance between cause and effect prevents us from perceiving the connections between the events of our lives. Everything can be traced to some seed planted in our past. Time just makes us forget the original cause action. Time creates the illusion of chaos, when in fact there is a concealed order. Our five senses prevent us from seeing through the illusion of time, and so we react to time's influences in other ways. Yesterday, feelings of regret, destructive emotion rooted in our past. We harbor these feelings and let them damage our lives in the present. Today, we procrastinate and put things off, false hopes about the future, and live in denial about our current situation. Tomorrow, filled with anxiety, frightened by the unknown, we are not sure which decisions to make or what the outcomes of our choices will be. All these feelings are reactions because we have allowed time to control our lives. When we resist our reactions to time, we suddenly become masters over it. We can slow it down or speed it up. Past and present are always with us. It's only the limits of our consciousness that prevent us from perceiving yesterday, tomorrow, and right now. Tomorrow is here right now. We can't see tomorrow, and we can't perceive yesterday. When we behave proactively, the opponent uses time against us to sabotage our accomplishments. Chaos may delay. The light may also be delayed. If we think we've been proactive but find ourselves wondering when we'll get the light, our adversary, the opponent, has won another round, reacting with doubt and disbelief. If we react to the delay, we lose. Time is further defined as the distance between good deeds and their dividends, the space between resistance and reward. Chaotic view of reality occurs because we are short-sighted people who allow time to rule and dictate our lives. We live and die by the moment and the urge to immediately and constantly gratify our reactive impulses born of ego. Every one of us faces the consequences of our negative actions, large and small, at some point in the future. And this is one reason why life all too often appears maddening, chaotic, random, and totally out of control. You have the free will to doubt all of these Kabbalistic truths concerning time, justice, payback, and cause and effect, and the opponent will be there every step of the way, telling you that these are nice, intellectual concepts to read about in a book, but hardly believable or practical in the real world. He's good, isn't he? Every trigger gives us the opportunity to transform our reactive behavior and become the cause of our fulfillment, transformation. Our positive traits do not win us any points in life. When it comes to arousing new levels of fulfillment, light in our lives, those traits are already in a proactive state. It is our negative characteristics and traits that give us the opportunity to effect a true transformation of character. We came into this world to create positive change within ourselves and the world around us. Positive change will always encounter resistance. conflict, and obstacles. We must embrace these difficult situations. Our opponent instills complacency within us to prevent us from making inner changes. When it's too late, we realize that life was empty without meaning, and we made no impact on this world. The opponent limits our view and focuses our attention on situations that fuel our egos, so we fail to appreciate and receive the richness life offers us and the hidden blessings we receive daily. Each time we react, we disconnect from the 99%. This disconnection creates a space, a void, and the opponent uses that space as a place to stir up chaos. The bigger the space, the greater his presence, and the larger the chaos. The bigger our reactions are, the greater space we create for our opponent. There is only one way to genuinely remove space. Remove the separation between us and the 99%. By connecting to the 99%, by disconnecting from reactive behavior. When we shut down our reactions, all space vanishes as we achieve unity with the light in that one moment. The opponent is homeless. One of the opponent's most potent weapons is the ability to confuse us. We never know who our real opponent is. The opponent projects himself onto other people, so you recognize all of your faults in others and see the enemy as the other person. When someone wrongs you and you react, you lose. According to Kabbalah, you deserved to be wronged by that person because of a negative deed you committed previously in some area of your life. It is a critically important proactive behavior to remember this difficult truth the next time life gongs you over the head. 6th Kabbalistic principle. Never, that means never, lay blame on other people for external events. Here's a very powerful and practical technique to help you put this rule into action. Whenever someone does something really rotten to you, imagine that you actually see the opponent whispering in the person's ear, causing all their negative behavior, which, by the way, is exactly what's happening. See the person in front of you as a helpless puppet under the complete influence of the opponent. Recognize him as the culprit. Know that he is laughing at the two of you as he tries to fan the flames of hatred and conflict between you. How do you feel now? This should help alleviate your reactive emotions toward this person, putting you in a better frame of mind for the real transformational work that begins when you look inward. Then you can see that the opponent was whispering in your ear too. All your negative feelings were being provoked by his suggestions. He was helping you project all of your negative traits onto the other person the whole time. In fact, you were able to recognize and react to negative traits in others only because you have them yourself. When Kabbalists speak of light with a capital L, they are referring to the infinite light of the Creator, the source of all fulfillment. Light with the lowercase l, they are referring to sunlight or a light of a bulb. Both light and light share similar characteristics concerning illumination. Light bulbs work with a positive, negative, and then the filament separating the positive and negative. The filament is the most important, the resistor pushing back the current flow from the positive and preventing it from connecting directly with the negative. This resistance, or pushing back of energy, is the reason the bulb generates illumination. When the filament breaks, the positive connects directly with the negative and the bulb short circuits. It bursts, producing a momentary flash of light. Then there is darkness. Without resistance, there is no lasting light. Negative pole in a light bulb is the vessel. Positive pole is the light. The filament is the act of resistance, which caused the Big Bang. At the moment the vessel resisted and stopped receiving the light in the endless world, it changed from a reactive to a proactive state. From the act of resistance were born the rules of revealing both lowercase light and uppercase light. The negative pole in the light bulb is your reactive desire. The positive pole is all the fulfillment and light we seek from life. Filament corresponds to our free will to choose not to react, thus avoiding direct pleasure. Just as the resistance of the filament keeps the light aglow in a bulb, resisting our reactive behavior keeps spiritual light shining. When we fail to apply resistance in our reactive impulses and we react, we create a short circuit. There's a momentary flash of self-indulgent delight followed by darkness because the bulb, the soul, has short-circuited and burned itself out. The concept of revealing light through resistance is present in every area of our lives. Human beings possess free will to resist the pleasurable energy generated by reactive impulses. Free will can only occur if something terribly influential tries to persuade us not to react. This lies the purpose of the opponent and the obstacle he throws our way. The seventh principle, resisting our reactive impulses, creates lasting light. And then the eighth principle, reactive behavior creates intense sparks of light, but eventually leaves darkness in its wake. There is a very fine line between suppressing our emotions and shutting down our reactive systems. Suppressing emotions creates long-term success. Slowly suppressed emotions gather force. Pressure builds, and eventually we blow. Resistance, on the other hand, creates momentary struggle, but almost immediately there's a calm and clarity. For example, if someone angers us and we truly apply the Kabbalistic concept of resistance to our usual rash response, there is no vengeance in our hearts. We do not feel insulted or hurt. If we feel any of those things, if we get caught up in the drama of the moment, it means that we have failed to recognize the spiritual opportunity of the situation. That's our clue. When we recognize that anger and other negative emotions are just tests sent to us by the light so we can remove bread of shame, we will know with certainty that we applied resistance. We will know. At first, the effort to resist will be a combination of suppression and authentic resistance. That's okay. This effort will eventually remove layers of reactive emotions. Consistent efforts at resistance will progressively cleanse reckless behavior, selfish desires, and negative thoughts from our nature. Certainty that we are drawing light and awareness of the process are just as important as our attempt of resistance. We must confront our chaos and our reactions to it. Ninth principle, obstacles are our opportunity to connect to the light. The more barriers there are, the more chances we have to plug into the light. Transforming is the purpose of our lives, and only an obstacle can give us that opportunity. The resistance we apply in a situation also determines how much light we receive. This simple principle is the key to determining how much spiritual light we generate. The more light we reflect, the more we receive. The more we resist our reactive behavior, the more happiness and pleasure radiates in our life. It works like this. The bigger the problem, the stronger our urge to react. The bigger our reaction, the more resistance we have to apply to stop it. The more resistance we apply, the more spiritual light in our lives. Which brings us to the 10th principle. The greater the obstacle, the greater the potential light. Most people tend to choose the path of least resistance in life. They look for the easy, comfortable situations, but staying comfortable doesn't generate lasting light. Flee our comfort zones. True, the path of most resistance causes some pain and discomfort for a moment, but it's the only way to generate long-term fulfillment. You cannot take anything personally. Kabbalah teaches that each of us comes to this world with baggage from previous lifetimes. Each time we fail to resist our reactive behavior, we have to correct it at some point in the future. This concept of corrections is called tikkun, T-I-K-U-N. People in our lives who truly bother and annoy us, they too are part of our tikkun. If we find it difficult to say no to a salesperson calling on the phone during dinner hour, this is our tikkun, and it needs to be corrected. If we are embarrassed about asking for a discount in an upscale designer shop, this is personal tikkun. Difficult to confront an employee or an employer, the root cause is found within the concept of tikkun. When we fail to make a correction, By resisting our reactive behavior, it becomes more difficult to correct next time around in that specific area. That particular reactive trait grows stronger. Our opponent grows stronger. Next time around does not necessarily mean next life. These same corrections can appear over and over again in our present incarnations. Seeking comfort and avoiding our tikkun produces momentary gratification and relief, but it is linked to long-term chaos. With this new understanding, we can no longer be victims. Change himself because he cannot change the world around him. Feels true fulfillment. This is the law of tikkun, and this is the reason our lives sometimes feel like we're trapped in a bad movie. Stopping our reactions, overthrowing our ego, and caring more about the people around us than we do for our opponent actually generates genuine light in our lives. You feel pressure to speak and flaunt your knowledge. Resist. It's your ego. Don't talk. Don't say a word. Worrying about what others think is a reactive behavior. Resist the laziness, stopping the desire to stop and diving in head first. You hear one side of the story and are appalled. You're ready to pass just judgment and choose sides. Resist. Let go of your emotions. Listen and hear the other side. Your tikkun is probably connected to judgmental behavior. The reactive, negative traits of others will be shown to us during the course of our lives. The moment we choose to pass judgment, rightly or wrongly, upon other individuals, we have pulled the trigger on ourselves. Only the words we speak against others allow the opponent to inflict payback upon us as a result of our own previous reactions. If we apply resistance and withhold judgment upon a person, then judgment can never befall upon us. Invest a little time helping others with their problems. When you get out of your own way, solutions will come to you when you least expect them. Resist self-praise. Think bigger. What can you do? What's next? Move on to the next positive deed. Resist the desire to gossip and speak bad about others. Begin losing your confidence. Your reaction means you believe you're the true source of this material, not the light. True artists know that they are just a channel. Moreover, even the criticism comes from the light, so give up control. Trust the process and let go of your personal attachment to the work. Resisting guilt. Resist the compulsion to self-destruct. Let it go. Falling spiritually and picking ourselves back up again is how we create spiritual transformation. Resist expectations. Resist all of your feelings of disappointment. Stop those feelings of victimization. Something better is coming. Asking the light for what you need in life, not for what you want. Resisting a lack of confidence. Let go of your limited thinking. It's not even about you. There's a bigger picture that includes other people, not just yourself. Focus on finding a way to help them get what they need, and you'll find yourself succeeding effortlessly. Resisting selfishness. Insecurity. Afraid of sharing too much credit. Out of your own insecurity. Hurt your ego if everyone thinks your partner was the major contributor to the project. Resist those reactive thoughts and feelings, then give all the credit away. Let go completely. Praise gives pleasure for a moment. Light remains eternal. Resisting embarrassment. Love the humiliation. Take it all in. Lower your defenses. Lower your guard. Walk through the mishap slowly and soak up as much embarrassment as possible. Make yourself vulnerable. Recognize this as an opportunity to wipe out your ego. You will see that no one even noticed your error. Resist the need to be admired. Then resist those reactive thoughts that tell you that your friends might not like, admire, or look up to you anymore. Resist doubts. Doubts flood your mind. Resist these reactive thoughts. It's a test to see if you've truly surrendered. Look for results and they won't come. Give it up and you'll get it all. Once you've switched from reactive to proactive, you've removed bread of shame. You are now ready and able to receive the everlasting light of fulfillment in that part of your life. The opponent has one more trick up his sleeve. Momentary pleasure invoked by reactive behavior is much more powerful and intoxicating than the ongoing pleasure of light that is generated by resistance. But a reactive burst of pleasure will always be followed by darkness. These are the laws of the spiritual current. Our opponent flashes immense pleasure in front of our five senses at every opportunity. It is very tempting. It delivers an overwhelming burst of energy. Intoxicants do elevate the soul to higher levels of spiritual atmosphere. Drugs connect us very directly to the energy forces, but then we short circuit and we crash. While it is our purpose in life to ascend to higher states of consciousness, drugs and alcohol are completely inadequate to fulfill this intention. We need to find ways of achieving that higher state of existence permanently rather than momentarily. But the opponent constantly uses the power of instant gratification and momentary highs to ignite our reactions. His sole purpose is to create short circuits directly so that we will eventually plunge ourselves into the darkness. So Crash diets. She knows she must resist. She finally succumbs to the reactive urge. Once she has surrendered control, she might as well eat the cake for all it's worth. That's what the opponent tells her, and she does eat it. Instant gratification. The rush of pleasure wears off. She crashes. The light from the cake has been cut off in a short circuit. Barbara is now overwhelmed by the all too familiar feelings of guilt, regret, depression, and disappointment. If Barbara had resisted her reactive desire to consume the cake and had eaten an apple instead, her body and soul would have felt satisfied. Not in an instant way, but in a tempered, balanced, and fulfilling way. More important, 24 hours later, feelings of accomplishment, self-worth, and fulfillment would have stayed with her. It's not just easy to resist immediate gratification. We set our minds towards the goal of not reacting. Whenever things start going really well, we may fall into the trap of believing that good times will never end. We become arrogant. Light comes from two sources, creator and the opponent. The light of the creator is an eternal flame. The light of the opponent is the bright flash from a stick of dynamite. When we strive for success with reactive behavior, our success comes from the opponent. The more reactive we are, the more success we generate at a price. A myth of selling one's soul to the devil is very close to the truth. Be reactive and the opponent will give you light, temporarily. When that light is taken away, the opponent gets to keep the real light of the creator. You get to keep the chaos after the dynamite blows. When we are flying high, we believe that we are the brilliant orchestrators of our own successes. Our egos are inflated to the size. Our egos are inflated. Fear, anger, competitiveness, insecurity, low self-esteem, selfishness, envy, anxiety, impatience, all these emotions born of ego constantly control and imprison us. That slows us down and prevent us from moving forward. This is the oldest master-slave relationship in creation, and it takes many forms. We're imprisoned by the ego-based aspects of our material existence, captive by the careers, relationships, fears, and doubts, prisoners to others people's perception of us, our own desperate need for other people's acceptance, outdo and one-up our friends and colleagues, trapped in our jobs, inside our marriages. All of us are enslaved to the physical world around us, enslaved to our ego. If you want to know the greatest freedom people can know, this is the true power of Kabbalah. So, I'm going to end this here because I only have this is all we have left. So I'll do all that in the last video. But I'm going to end this here. So thanks for watching. One more part to go. Let's do this.